Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Today, we're going to go into our next part of this Aubrey Gordon podcast episode on Matt Bernstein's channel. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay. All right.
The discourse that we had around weight loss surgery and gastric sleeves and gastric bands in the sort of early to mid 2000s, right? Star Jones, who was a personality on The View, was hounded.
Yeah, so what they were talking about before, they're talking about different methods of losing weight and what's more moral or what's less moral or whatever. So let's go ahead and see.
Did about how she lost weight or whether or not she was like the cover of tabloids for like months and months and months of people just speculating on like, did she have surgery or did she quote unquote do it the right way? And it was this absolutely astonishing sort of pop culture moment that is like not surprising but deeply demoralizing every time it happens, where you're like, oh neat, you found a fat black woman and you decided to make her body the headline and speculation about her body the headline for months and months and months and months and months, right? So in a lot of ways, it really does feel like an everything old is new again. Because again, people just need to feel like someone else is hurting for whatever.
No, I've always talked about this. I will continue to say it. It has to do with generational shifts. It has to do with there being a new day. Millennials were the only ones that were into fat acceptance. No other generation really was into it at all. Millennials are now going into institutions and getting out of cultural spaces. Gen Z's coming in. Gen Z doesn't like it. Gen X, in my opinion, also doesn't like most of fat acceptance. So you're kind of caught on both ends as a fat acceptance millennial. Plus, you have people like me who are defectors, which again, I was never really in it, but I did have the toxic ritualistic mindset, and I've been activated against it. So fat acceptance is losing a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. It ain't it. It was a moment in the sun. You guys don't get that. I will keep saying it. It was a fad. That's all it was. It's a fad. It was never going to last for very, very obvious reasons. Super obvious.
Whatever reason, that is like a mandatory part of our discourse around weight loss.
Speaking of this like moralizing of, different ways to lose weight, Khloe Kardashian, she's arrived.
Oh my God. I'm so ready. Sorry. I'm excited for this. I've been waiting for this moment. I've been waiting. Oh my God, I'm excited. It's coming up, you guys. It's happening. It's happening.
You were listening for Kardashian Discourse. We're here. Khloe Kardashian.
Yes. I want to hear Aubrey's pain. I want to hear your pain, Aubrey.
She of the revenge body.
Her body has always been the subject of discussion in a way that I'm not envious of at all. Mm-hmm. And, she's a complicated person, occupies a complicated place in public life, but she, had the Ozempic allegations levied against her. And she said, quote, "Let's not discredit my years of working out. I get up 5 days a week at 6 a.m. to train. Please stop with your assumptions. I guess New Year still means mean people."
Just sounds so similar to what Oprah said on her Ozempic TV special that she did, which was are we getting there?
We're just getting, okay. Why did I even outline, Aubrey? Why did I even outline?
It sounds so much like that same kind of framing that Oprah used in her special, because we are in what our shared friend Michael Hobbs calls a transitional moment in our discourse around weight and weight loss. We sort of know and have established that diets don't really lead to long-term weight loss.
Have we? Who's we? Who are you speaking to? Is it the mouse in your pocket? I remember that saying. My mom used to say that to me all the time. Who is we? Who's we?
We sort of know and have established that exercise isn't a major driver of weight loss.
Who's we? I think this explains why Aubrey hasn't lost weight.
But we're still really
I'm gonna get sassy. That this witch hat is about to come out. I can already feel it. I feel it today. So hold up. I thought I had to pause it. It was right here. No, I'm ready today. Let's go. You want to play, Aubrey? Let's play. Who's we? Who's we? We. Who is we? Who are you talking to? Who are you talking about? You and Matt? Because if that's the case, then sure, it's you and Matt. You and Matt know and understand, even though Matt clearly understands diet and exercise. He clearly does. Let's be so real. Matt clearly understands it, but he'll sit here because he's a liar. Again, I don't like Matt. I'm sorry. I've reached a point where I don't like him as I've been watching this. Matt is a liar, so he's going to sit here and to your face, deadpan, be like, yes, you're so right, even though he diets and exercises all the time to have the body that he does. He's a liar. And you're a liar, Aubrey. We've reached a point of Okay, Aubrey. All right. You and liar Matt, you guys really know. You know. Okay. All right.
To those two things being the vehicles for not just weight loss, but for a character worth having, a work ethic worth having, all of that sort of stuff, right? So we're in this weird moment where people are pushing back against the idea that any of these sort of drugs or more medicalized treatments are like, quote unquote, taking the easy way out, which is like bullshit. Don't talk about people that way. That's not cool. But people still feel compelled because the sort of cultural conversation part hasn't shifted to catch up with the science part of this. People still feel compelled to say, but also I run 5 miles a day, and also I count my macros, and also I do all of this stuff that we know doesn't really do much.
We? Who's we? It doesn't do anything. Aubrey, you might want to consider exercising for a while. It might change some things. It might. I'm not saying you're going to lose weight. I'm not saying that, but you know, it might shift some things around if you actually exercised for an extended period of time. Try to exercise for 2 years, Aubrey, and tell me it doesn't do anything. You're not smart. You're not. You are not a smart cookie, are you? It doesn't do anything. Okay. All right. Okay, and what is that based upon? Wow. All right.
Much, right? So it just feels like what we're seeing in moments like this is just like public figures getting caught in the tensions that exist more broadly in our culture around weight and weight loss. And we're weirdly...
What it feels like is that you're grasping desperately at a dying movement and trying to continue to make it relevant, even though it's becoming less relevant. And I can commend the effort. You know, I'm an activist as well. I see the work that's going into it. I can respect the activistic effort, but I think it is very difficult when your activism is not only based in a complete lack of reality, but also rooted in total unfairness, gaslighting, total like trying to keep people down, trying to enforce fatness in others, trying to gaslight people into giving up before they've even really tried. That's what your movement is. And I just think ultimately it will lose because reality tends to come through. Sorry. I know it's hard for you. I know. Just like the reality of the weight on you will hit you eventually. And you know it will. I know it will. We all know it well. Okay.
Looking to like Khloe Kardashian to resolve those tensions, which is, boy, that's a mission that is gonna not pay off. You know?
My feelings about celebrities and...
I don't think that Khloe Kardashian is necessarily like the best philosopher in the entire world either. Like, I'm not going to say that about Khloe. But I will say, as I've stated in this series before, it is irritating when people assume that you're using Ozempic. It is irritating. To me, that's what her statement gave. It gave mild irritation. and they don't discredit the work that I do. Again, she wouldn't have any muscle if she wasn't exercising, even if she was using Ozempic. So you have to exercise if you're on Ozempic. You have to exercise anyways. We need to normalize exercise. I don't know what this idea of like exercise doesn't matter. No, it does matter. I don't accept that whatsoever. I think that flies in the face of our entire history as human beings to reject exercise. It is not a smart thing at all. And I'm like, let's normalize reality again. Let's normalize that exercise is important, because it is. Isn't that truly wild? Matt knows it's important. I'm sure Matt exercises plenty, but he's not going to say anything. He's not going to push back because he's a liar. Like I said, a liar by omission, but still a liar.
And Ozempic have really ebbed and flowed. A lot of that ebb and flow has been a result of like what the general public has to say about it, because sometimes I feel it goes too far in one direction or another, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know. I just feel like so many famous women have been shamed for their entire careers about their bodies and about needing to get thinner, and then they take Ozempic and they get shamed for taking Ozempic. And I think there are valid reasons, like you were discussing, about like shortages, access to the drug who really needs it, when taking this and then advertising it engenders fat phobia to the general public. But then there's just the like, well, she took the easy way out. And like, I think that's what a lot of people are actually angry about. That like radicalized me in the other direction, where I was like, oh, now I don't care what Khloe Kardashian, like now I don't care if Khloe Kardashian takes Ozempic, because like everyone's being too annoying about it in the first place.
Listen, annoying is the word, right? Like, I think that.
So his opinion is just based on, I guess, whatever the crowd says. That's a real winner, isn't it? Okay, let's see what she's going to say.
This feels like a big, weighty, important conversation.
No pun intended.
Pun, sure, but pun intended. It feels like a really important conversation to get right, and I think that means that a lot of us end up sort of tripping over our words and getting really careful to really nail every moment of it, and that means that it can start to feel petty to say the true thing, which is everyone is being their most annoying around this discourse.
That's true. I agree with her there.
You know what I mean? Like,
including both of you. Very much, very, very much, both of you. Woo! I'm irritated today, as you can tell. You both are being very annoying in this conversation.
Including me!
Yes,
everyone is
exactly. And Matt. Both very annoying.
Being their most annoying. I think the celebrity stuff is like a really good example of that, right? Where you're just like, oh, neat. We went right back to the like body surveillance panopticon that sort of like took a couple years off there, or at least sort of cloaked itself in something else, right? But like, we're right back to everyone's paying attention to everyone else's bodies. Whether
they always were. Because your movement has never stopped it. Your movement has only made it worse. And I think that that's what they can't understand. They still promote obsession. They promote obsessing over it. Your entire discourse is around it. And it's not even just about like the health implications. I talk so much about the health stuff. I will talk about appearance as well, but I do not talk about it that much at this time. I may talk about it later. I reserve the right to talk about fatness in any way, shape, or form that I feel like, and I will. But at the end of the day, fat acceptance as a movement has promoted a fixation on looks. Most of the rhetoric that they talk about has to do with appearances. So of course it wasn't going to go away. It never did. Why do you think fat acceptance people are so upset about who's using Ozempic and who isn't? Why do you think they're so upset about Rebel Wilson and a lot of other people who have lost weight? I can't think of anybody else right now because I don't care. I don't think about it all the time because I'm not fat acceptance. I don't think about every single person that's lost weight because I'm not obsessed with it in that way. But you guys always were. The call is coming from inside the house. You enforce it. You keep it going. You enforce the body hierarchy. You want people to stay lower, so to speak. Not only in the rhetoric that you talk about fatness, you talk about how down and out fat people are all the time, for one, but then you say you can't change it, and it's not true. So you give people no hope, and then you take away the possibility of getting out. It's enforcement. And then you're shocked that society didn't improve somehow with your toxic movement. Of course it wasn't going to. It just made it worse. When you tell everybody that if you gain weight, you can never lose it, people get really, really fucking terrified of gaining weight. When you promote the idea that people can only gain and never lose, for example, that scares the shit out of people. I'm going to try not to cuss anymore, because I know YouTube doesn't like that. But of course it didn't get better, Aubrey. Why would it? Can we please wake up a bit? Can we please just look at like how human beings behave? Can we look at what happens if you take away somebody's hope? What do you think they're going to do? If you terrify people over it? If you tell people that if you're fat, your whole life is going to die and everyone's going to hate you and nobody's going to ever talk to you and you're going to be treated like a piece of crap on the side of the road every day because you're fat. You're going to be harassed constantly. You guys, you fearmonger about it so much. And then you tell people that if you are so unfortunate by lottery to end up fat, that you can never lose weight and it will never go away. You don't think that that enforces some people on the other side of E followed by the letter D? Because I think it probably does. I would say so. For sure. You didn't help anything, Aubrey. All this movement is doing is reinforcing. It's a reinforcement of everything negative around this issue, which is why I am here, which is why I will fight it to the death. This movement needs to die. It needs to die. It is toxic. It is not helpful. It makes things worse. And I do have things to say to the fitness side of things. I may get into that at a future date, but I'm not there yet. But there are issues on the other side of this too, in my opinion. Nobody is safe necessarily. My goal is for this issue to be as resolved as possible. If you want to lose weight, if you are obese, if you're super morbidly obese, etc., and you want to lose weight, I want you to know that you can. I want you to know that you are choosing to be that way. It is a choice and you are choosing it. It's empowering. And it's very, very important to understand that. And it's also equally important to understand that you shouldn't lose it in a toxic way. You shouldn't play weird mental games with yourself and do all this stuff. You always need to be rooted in reality. And remember to always de-emotionalize the experience. It's not emotional. The actual losing of the weight is not emotional. It's very boring. And that's how it should be. Now, there are emotions involved in the process. There's a lot of hormone fluctuation. And, within our fat acceptance society, there is unfortunately mental barriers and cultural barriers that have to be faced in weight loss. And I hate it so much. You don't even know, you guys, because I know that a lot of you guys are not like me in the sense that you can't just show up and be a huge bitch and just be like, I don't give a crap what you think. I know that a lot of people aren't like me. So I'm going to do it because I don't care. I do not care. I can be the bitch in the room. And it kills me because I know how loud these cultural messages are, and I know how so many of you guys are. You guys are sweeter than me. You guys try to please people. You guys try to be nice. You try not to step on people's toes. And they've created a situation where you're gonna have to step on people's toes to lose weight. And I hate it with the passion of 1,000 suns. I hate it. Because it's like you don't deserve to die because you're a nice person. You don't deserve it. And that's what this does. It pushes you to go down a darker path. It pushes nice people to go down a path that they shouldn't be going down, because you're going to have to face these cultural battles. You're going to. And I hate it so much. I really, really do. I will do everything in my power to change this culture. I will do it as much as I can, because it should not be a bitchy thing to lose weight. And it has become that. And again, I am definitely bitchy. I can handle it. I can do it. But I don't want it to be just me. I'm not doing this in an activistic way so that I'm the only person, so that I get out and then I shut up. That's not my style. That's not what's going to happen here. And you know damn well they're going to hate it. So that's all they ever would want. They'd want me to just shut up. I'm not going to. Because again, I'm not a people pleaser. So good luck. Good luck, babe. I have that song in my head. Oh my gosh. That song is taking over my brain. Good luck, babe, Aubrey. Good luck.
Not Khloe Kardashian or Oprah or Lana Del Rey sees your comments about their size. Other people you know will. And they will feel a real intense pressure to meet whatever standards you set forth in your comments. So like, just
okay,
like,
sure. And there's nobody that ever feels pressure to attain your standard, Aubrey. Not like your friends that you bully. So I'm starting to get like, not like the friends that you're extremely controlling over, that I've read your articles. Crazy stuff, crazy dynamics she has. Not like that. You don't think anybody's trying to live to your standard, Aubrey? Oh, babe. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm just not having it today.
everybody, me included, let's all just
Yes.
be less annoying. You don't have to be not annoying, just less annoying.
We can have these bigger
Thank you, Aubrey, for including yourself in that.
conversations about like
Oops. Not me like tripping out on this.
the cultural effect that like a popular weight loss drug can have, without being like, the problem here is deciding whether or not Lana Del Rey is taking it.
Totally.
I think it's about, and something that I've learned from you is like challenging institutions versus.
I think you need to be educated about it. I think you need to understand it's not a miracle. I think you need to understand that it is primarily for diabetes, insulin resistance, these kinds of issues. You need to understand that. You need to understand that you need to exercise if you're on it. You need to understand that you're going to have to deal with side effects if you take it. You need to understand that you're going to have to deal with the question of if you're going to get off of it or not. These are all things that you need to know, and you need to do your own research on it, because there have been situations where doctors don't necessarily tell you the warnings about it as well as they should, or maybe people don't understand it. So all I'm saying is you need to look at your specific situation. You need to discuss it with your doctor and look at what is the best option for you. This is not a one-size-fits-all thing. I don't think it's important necessarily to judge if somebody's using Ozempic or not. I will just say it isn't necessary to lose weight. It isn't. And that shouldn't be a controversial statement. If it is a controversial statement, then there's something wrong with the way you're thinking about Ozempic. Let me say it again for the people in the back. You don't need to take Ozempic to lose weight. You don't need to take Ozempic to lose weight. You don't need to take Ozempic to lose weight. You don't need to take it. It's not necessary. You can totally lose the weight without it. You don't need to take Ozempic to lose weight. How's that for annoying?
Individuals.
It's all the shit that came out about, I'm swearing so much, excuse me.
Oh my God, I don't even turn on the monetization thing on YouTube anymore. You can say whatever you want.
Bless you, thank you, it happens.
It does.
I mean, it feels so similar to the Adele stuff from a few years ago, right? That is sort of like this idea that if you're a public figure, you signed on to whatever anybody has to say about you at all times, which, first of all, it's not the greatest crisis of our time, and it's not the biggest way that we're dehumanizing people, but that is a way that we are dehumanizing people, is when you decide to like stop caring about people's boundaries and their needs and their human experiences. So like pump the brakes on that one, team. Part of it is that people,
I can agree with her with that to a certain extent, but I do think that there is something that comes with it, in the sense like there will be speculation. You have to acknowledge that human beings are who they are. There's always going to be speculation. I would never ever support like showing up to somebody's house, crossing physical boundaries, right? Like trying to dig up stuff that isn't made public. I do not support any of that. I think that's horrible, and I think that's stalking. And I think that that's dangerous and honestly morally abhorrent to do things like that. So while I don't support any of that, if you make a statement or you put something out there as a public figure, it's totally valid for people to comment upon it. And I think it should be encouraged even. So I agree with her to a certain extent, but I also disagree with her because I think she's taking it a little too far. If somebody makes a statement about Ozempic, like promoting it, for example, as a celebrity, you should be able to say something about it.
Think that like every public figure's body, and especially public figures that aren't men, have bodies.
The body stuff, it happens regardless of if it's celebrity or not. People are always doing that. And especially people with toxic ritualistic behaviors, because they're always monitoring other people's bodies, because they're always comparing. Because remember, it's a mental health issue. And when I say that, I mean E followed by the letter D. Remember, it's a mental health issue, which means it's based entirely in image. It's not grounded in reality. It's totally just mental. So people do look all the time to compare. And a lot of those people, they are the ones spearheading these conversations. And then normal people that don't have those issues, they just comment upon it too. So I think it's important to know where it comes from so that you don't need to internalize it so much. And you need to remember that if you have E followed by the letter D, you need to remember that don't take what they're saying to heart, because they're subscribed to something that you're no longer subscribed to. And it's sad. I don't think you should judge, because remember, it's rooted in trauma. So, and people have to deal with it however they're going to deal with it. And people aren't necessarily perfect either, even in recovery. But I can understand the concept of maybe we don't hyperanalyze every single person's body all the time. I get it, but I also have a realistic understanding that there are probably millions of people that have these issues that are going to spearhead these conversations. And I don't think it's smart to sit here and act like we can just control everybody's conversation. We're not going to. We have to prepare people to deal with these conversations, or to not internalize, and remember to separate it in your mind, because that's what I can tell you to help you. That's what I do. I don't take it personally anymore. I've created distance from that. And that's what I would suggest you do, because we can't control what everybody says all the time. So that's more helpful than what Aubrey is saying, which is in some ideal world where nobody's going to talk about this anymore, that should just exist somehow, which is not going to happen. So it's frustrating to me because, again, it's just not helpful.
That are sort of up for public discussion at all times, but also what that does, part of what doing that accomplishes, is it invites folks back into commenting on other people's bodies as well, right? It gets folks back in the habit, Sister Act 2, back in the habit of commenting on other people's weight loss and speculating about how big they are and how big
they never were out of the habit, and your movement was hugely involved in it. Okay.
Should be. And did they actually get too skinny, or are they too fat now? How much longer should they stay on this drug? Blah, 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 blah. All of that kind of stuff, when it's aimed at other people or when it's aimed at ourselves, really does end up meaningfully contributing to a culture of anti-fatness that hurts and harms fat people all the time. So like that stuff is all worth paying attention to. And even if you don't care about all that stuff, don't be the jerk who's telling Lana Del Rey or Adele or Kelly Osborne or Star Jones or anybody what they should or should not do or have done with their bodies.
Well, speaking of Kelly Osborne, we are doing I want like a cool sound effect here. Pew, pew, pew.
I think it depends. It depends on if they make their body a subject of like rhetoric, basically. So if their body is a part of a statement, if they're trying to make like a fat acceptance statement as a celebrity, it should be talked about. If they talk about their body and they make it a part of something that they're doing or saying, then yes, it should be talked about. If it's not though, then it probably shouldn't be talked about as much. So that I can agree with, but again, it's within certain conditions. If somebody gets on there like Lizzo did and she does like kind of like a fat acceptance moment for quite a while, even if she's shifted on it these days, people still have a right to talk about her body because she made it a part of her image. So it's going to be talked about. You can't expect people to not talk about it. Even Khloe Kardashian, she literally had a show called Revenge Body. Her body is up for discussion. I don't agree with, always picking apart aesthetics and these kinds of things. It can be kind of toxic. But when we talk about things in a more logistical way, like about weight loss itself, or, we've talked about the idea of a revenge body on this channel, for example. That's a concept. It's less to do with Khloe Kardashian herself. It's more to do with the general argument that she's making and the concept that she's pushing, which is an important part of discourse. And that is a part of celebrity. So while I think it can be a bit more elevated, I think there are good ways to discuss celebrities' bodies. That's what I'm trying to say. I agree that the accusations of Ozempic can be mean or harsh or unnecessary, but they're going to come. And that's also because media keeps pushing it so much. So it's kind of a feedback loop. So again, I think a lot of it you can blame the media, honestly, because the way they talk about it, they keep pushing it a certain way and it makes people talk about it so much. Similar to, a lot of things that are on trend, basically. So I think it's important to just look at the whole picture. And yeah, that's what I would say.
Kelly Osborne interlude.
Woo! Not really, but okay.
Yeah, not really. I mean, everyone lower your excitement because it's about to get really fucking weird. Kelly Osborne loves, famously, you thought you ate that kind of moment. If you kick every Latino out of this country,
then who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?
Oh, that's no.
In the sense that, you know what I mean? Like, when I'm saying
there's more jobs to be
in LA, they always
for.
She often thinks she eats, and unfortunately, she has given us another Kelly Osborne moment.
Oh, Lord.
Let me play it, and then we'll discuss. What's interesting is she's on a red carpet with purple hair, and she actually looks kind of like an AI-generated Lana Del Rey. She looks in this
It's because of the surgery. Sorry, it's like sorry, I have to comment on it. That just triggered me a little bit. It's because I think a lot of them go to a similar surgeon or there's like a similar style of surgery in LA. Sorry, I just have to be real. That's why. Because there's a lot of people that do.
Video, like if someone tried to draw Lana Del Rey from memory.
Oh, okay.
This is the image. She does look like Lana Del Rey, right?
She really looks strikingly like purple hair Lana Del Rey.
She was asked here basically just what
surgery. That's why.
Thought about Ozempic and people taking it and celebrities in particular taking it. And here is what she had to say.
I think it's amazing and I think it's great for them. There are a million ways to lose weight. Why not do it through something that isn't as boring as working out? People hate on it because they want to...
Oh my God. That is so stupid. Sorry. Okay. We're going to respond to what she said.
Do it. And the people who hate it on the most, the people who are secretly doing it or pissed off that they can't afford it.
what I will say is, I don't always understand hating on it. That I will say. I think hating on it is too far. Criticizing it, totally valid. I totally get it. There are criticisms of Ozempic. We should be allowed to criticize anything. Anything. So I totally understand criticizing Ozempic 100%. Really, truly hating it with all your life's passion? I could even understand having an opinion on somebody in your life getting on it. That I could even understand because it's more personal. But having an opinion on a stranger getting it, to me, it's a little bit too far. It's a little too far for me. I don't think that that's appropriate. So that I will say. However, there are plenty, let's be real, there are so many people who hate on Ozempic who never want to be on it. That is very stupid. Super stupid. And there are many people who could get Ozempic on it with their insurance and they still don't want it. So that is just a very stupid statement. It's way too black and white. It is just dumb. And the exercise thing is really, really stupid. But she's not the first person to say or to downplay the benefits of exercise. And I still think it's stupid, no matter who you are.
She had me in the first half.
Totally.
When she said, why not lose weight in a way that's less boring than working out? I'm like...
Liar. Sorry, just have to say it again.
That...
Points were made.
All right.
Points were made.
Fine.
Absolutely.
Fine. I think that that is kind of the antidote attitude to everything we were talking about moralizing suffering. Like, she ate in the first half, and then she kept talking.
Well, why don't you stop going to the gym then, Matt? It's suffering. Why don't you stop? Why don't you stop watching what you eat at all? It's suffering. Why don't you stop anything? Why don't you stop doing anything that isn't completely fun all the time? That's suffering, right? Or is that something that you'd only encourage in others and not yourself? And I wonder why. I wonder why. It's a very interesting question, isn't it?
Which tends to be the issue with Kelly Osborne.
It's so tricky. My memories of Kelly Osborne are now intrinsically tied to her comments about her ex's trans woman that she was cheated on with. Do you know about this?
No.
Oh.
Okay, I think we're going to finish this point and then I'm going to be done for this video. So let's see what else they say.
No.
Baby, it's really peak. You really thought you had something there, but you for sure did not. It's bad. Yeah, I mean, sure, take Ozempic, do whatever you want. The second, okay, so
oh my God, no, Aubrey, I don't mean to stress you out.
I just feel so sort of pre-exhausted by all of this, by the Kelly Osborne of it and by the Ozempic of it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a real bleach and ammonia combo we got going here.
Can I tee you up here because
Tell me.
My reaction, this went like really viral online and people were like, fuck Kelly Osborne for saying that. So she says, the only people who are mad about it are the people who are secretly taking it or who can't afford it, which is obviously a really grotesque thing to say on so many levels.
Yeah.
But I've included it here because I think it's also like how a lot of people think about it. And
yeah,
I just think that most people have more tact than Kelly Osborne. And most people know not to say that. But I do think that it's like a prevailing thought of like, well, anyone who could afford to take this would.
Yes, absolutely. That the rational thing, right? That people are embarrassed about their own desires, but these are the rational desires to have, right? I also think this is like a weird Jedi.
I agree with him that I do think there are plenty of people who view it that way. But like I said, they're also just as wrong. There are plenty of people who hate on Ozempic who would never take it. There are plenty of people who have the opportunity to take it that don't necessarily have money, but they have insurance and they could get it and they still don't want it. So it's a false statement, flatly. It's false.
mind trick thing that people do when they are in positions of privilege, where they'll do like sort of very strange emotional jujitsu of figuring out how to blame a marginalized community
Oh yeah.
for their own circumstances, right? That's like any critiques from predominantly fat people, from predominantly feminists, from predominantly like SJWs, whatever.
Mhm.
All get chalked up to you're just jealous.
You're just a hater.
You're just a hater and you're just jealous.
Yes, but fat acceptance also constantly just tells people that they're just jealous. I swear she does not have any knowledge of her own movement. It is really cringy because to me, it's like I have seen that so many times. You're just jealous that you don't love your body as much as I do. You're just jealous that you can't accept yourself. You're just jealous of this. It's stupid. It's just so lame. I'm sorry. Ugh, it's so hypocritical as well.
And it feels to me very much like the like mid 2000s like Larry Craig, Ted Haggard sort of.
I don't think Aubrey understands that her movement is not changing anything. It's just the exact inverse. It's just shaming and encouraging people to stay fat. That's all it's doing. And she doesn't see it that way because she sees it as, well, I don't say that. You do though, Aubrey, because you shame people who choose to lose weight by saying things like, well, they just didn't love themselves enough. You say things like that a lot. Again, if you guys haven't looked at Aubrey's work, she says things with this quality very, very often. She's not necessarily saying it in this video that I've seen so far, but she does say things like that often. She's been writing since, I think, like 2018 or so. So I think, you know, you can go through her catalog. She says things like that all the time. All the time.
Scores.
So she is shaming. She is doing that kind of thing too. Even if she's acting like she's so cool now, I think she's just shifting her rhetoric a bit because she understands that they're losing right now. That's why. They're losing everything but the weight. No, I'm just kidding. I just had to say that. But she's losing right now. That's the truth. The movement is at a low point. I do think it will come back. I'm prepared for it to come back. But I think it will ultimately die. I think it'll have one last push and then it will fall. That's my prediction. So I'm ready for that. But it's down and out right now. It's bad. You guys are not doing well in fat acceptance at this moment. That's a fact.
That was like the biggest homophobes are actually queer themselves, where I'm like, how did you manage to blame gay people for homophobia?
Yeah.
How did we get here? How do we?
It has been my experience. I'm just going to say I've only been bullied very lightly, like maybe 2 or 3 times throughout my school, like all of my schooling, and everybody who ever did ended up being gay. So I'm just saying that was my experience anyway.
We get here, right? And like this feels a little bit like that, right? Which is like, I don't have to listen to anything you're saying now because actually you are just a hater. You are just jealous. Mm-hmm. You just wish this was your life and this was your body and all of that sort of stuff. Truly Meryl Streep.gif groundbreaking to say fat people are jealous of thin, wealthy people.
Blaming valid critique on haters for spring, groundbreaking.
Yeah.
But can I ask you in this?
I know, but they're both the type to do that too. So I don't understand what this even is. Like, are we supposed to watch this and just like not see any of their prior stuff or not engage with anything? Like, it's just weird to me. Isn't it weird? It's like they're both trying to gaslight us or something. Like, I could totally see Matt being like, if you don't like me, you're just jealous or you're a hater. The haters. And I know Aubrey is the same way. I know she is. She doesn't really talk about haters, though, at all, which is a good strategy, which I hate her for having a good strategy. She usually doesn't. But I could totally see Matt doing something like that. I could totally see it.
It's vain, though.
I'm sure he has. You know? It's just... whatever.
Is what do you make of the idea that like anybody who could take this would?
I think that's not true. I am a person who could take it and is not taking it. There are lots of people
exactly.
who could take it and who are not taking it.
It's true.
Right? I think that what that is ultimately actually saying is we all know that thinness is the right choice.
Mm-hmm.
Thinness is a choice that's always available to you, and anyone in their right mind would choose it. And anyone who's not is just justifying their own bad behavior, their own binge eating, their own lack of self-control, right? It all sort of comes back to this like set of character judgment.
I would somewhat agree with that. I also think, though, that there is a cultural enforcement, a gaslighting. I would say that people can be delusional about it, both from a mental health perspective and from a everyone's lying to me perspective. So I don't think it's just that moralizing side. I think it's also a cultural problem, which I will constantly point that out because that is a huge part of the issue of this whole conversation.
Sort of thing. A cultural discourse, especially a cultural discourse around fatness, really loves to act like there is one correct choice for everyone to make. And like
it is the correct choice to have a healthy weight. It is. Absolutely. I think once we let that go, then we're in La La Land. We're in like the upside down or whatever it's called in Stranger Things. We've left reality. We're in something else. Yeah.
Get your hackles up, everybody. Like you should be suspicious if someone goes, yeah, man, everyone would want this, right? It just feels like just straightforwardly an articulation of like a cultural mandate to be thin. And that feels like, again, nothing.
It's not a cultural mandate. It's more of a biological one. Again, there's a health issue with being super morbidly obese. There are many health issues with being obese. Not even just super morbid, not even just morbid, just being obese. There are health issues with it. It should not be accepted, period.
Nothing new. So we've arrived in the outline. We've arrived at Oprah. Goodbye.
Okay. We're going to leave it there. I will talk to you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching. The witch hat came out. I was ready today. I got mad when she was like, exercise doesn't do anything. Diets don't do anything. No. It's time for the witch hat to come out. And he should have been pushing back against it, and he didn't. He would never. He has to kiss her ass as much as possible, so he would never. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Have a good rest of your day, night, etc. See you soon. Bye.